Hello and welcome, it's been a while. I wanted to make a little bit of a short guide on Yoshimitsu's tricks that he can do in the game that you guys may have asked me a couple of times during my videos. You may have asked me a question under my videos saying that, oh, how do you do this, how do you do that, blah blah blah. So in this video I'll do a showcase of moves that you can try using and showcasing exactly how to perform them. So one of the few moves that I want to showcase is essentially meditation stance, right? A lot of players see me do this. Now to do that, essentially you need to go into meditation stance and you press back and then down back immediately. So you gotta like slide your back D-pad, unless you're playing on a stick, and you just then press down back, and that's it. So as you see the commands HUD on the left corner, you see that I press back first, then I press down back, then press 1. Now if you do this quickly enough, then you get yourself the down 1 motion from back turn stance. Now this has a lot of implications where if you're, if the opponent's trying to run at you or trying to get close, you can catch him off guard and do this move. Now I used to perform it by simply going into meditation stance and then pressing 3+4 again to get out of it. Then I press down 1 to get the back turn down 1 low move. But not anymore, because I've got a few tips and a lot of guidance from a few other Yoshi players before me that have told me how to perform this meditation trick, where you can essentially not only just do down 1, you can do other moves too. For example, you can go and do a press forward and then 1-2 to get this. You can also try getting yourself forward 3, which is your back turn 3. And if you really want to be evasive enough against opponents, for example, let's say you're in your meditation stance, similarly how you go about pressing back and then down back, you can evade them. This is better than doing a regular like Korean backdash, like doing this. You see a lot of players at higher levels do this. Now I still perform it because doing this is still kind of, you're still vulnerable is what I'm trying to say while you're doing that, because characters like Victor can just shoot you with his Glock, and other characters can just run towards you without a care in the world and just slam you down. So be careful when doing this, because they can still catch you off guard. Now there are moments where you can try doing this and then maybe press up to maneuver around, almost like a sidestep. But I think in this game they might have buffed a lot of the moves that track, so this in itself may not be a good useful tool to sidestep away while in meditation stance. But you can still try. Like there are moments that if you get lucky and you do it at the right precise moment, you can get away from the opponent. Alright, besides that move, you also have your up forward 2. Up forward 2 has to cancel as well. All you need to do is simply just hold down when you press up forward 2 and you cancel out of the move. You may have seen me do this as well in matches. Now I usually do this when I want to get a mix-up going or a setup, where they may assume that I may try to go for a low and they're trying to block me. So if they do, I go for Samurai Cutter. Or I may try to go for a half kick. Or a wall standing 2-1. Whatever the case that I may go for, as long as I make them believe that I'm trying to attempt to go for a low, so they're gonna try blocking the up forward 2 since it hits low. So you can try utilizing that in your mix-up options, like if you want to like try to go for a setup of some kind and catch your opponent off guard. Another thing that you may want to use is also your down forward 3. Now down forward 3 has a follow-up, which is the 1. But if they constantly block the down forward 3 into the 1, which is safe on block, so you don't have to worry about them taking their turn. Well, they can still take the turn, but you don't have to worry about getting hit. But if you want to really open them up and they constantly block your down forward 3 into the follow-up 1, hold the 1 just for a split second so that it can turn into the 1 into an unblockable and catch him off guard. Another trick also is that if you do go into your down forward 3, you're semi-placed into a crouching state, like a quick crouching state. You don't have to press down or anything. You're just automatically placed into a crouching state. So you can do stuff like this. You can try utilizing that to catch people off guard as well. I like to do mostly when I go into down forward 3, I go into full crouch, down forward 4, or I go into samurai cutter. So that way I can actually catch the opponent off guard. In other cases, I would also go for even weirder mix-ups where I go into down forward 3 and go into my dragonfly stance or my manji stance. But it all depends on you. You can mix up with whatever. You don't have to go with what I've essentially showcased. You can go with Kencho stance if you want to. You can go into wall standing 3 if you want to. Into the follow-up 2. All depends on you. You may have also seen me use Poison Breath or Bad Breath, which is this move here when you press down back, then 1+2. And as you press 1+2, you hold down back to stay in the stance. Now, you don't want to stay in the stance, but if you want to, you can. And while in this little miniature stance, you can press either 1 or 2 to go into Bad Breath. Now, Bad Breath in this game has been buffed. It actually has increased its range, so you can actually hit from further away. Not super further away, but you know, it's still further than in Tekken 7. So if, let's say you start at round start, it hits at round start. Now, I believe in Tekken 7 it also did the same thing, but I still think that Poison Breath in this game has increased range. But be careful though that this move also can be ducked. It's considered to be a high. So you can just duck the move if you're playing against a Yoshimitsu player. But you can try using this in mix-ups as well. Like for example, you can do 2 into back 1 and do this to catch people off guard. You can also try using it while you're in Heat Engager and catch them off guard with that as well. Now, another thing you can do while in this stance is that if you press 4, you can do a backflip. Now, it's not really all that important, but if you want to create space, then it is a alternative way to maneuver around within the game if you want to. You can also do it with pressing 3 instead if you don't want to do 4. Now, for your unblockables, other than the ones already showcased, to do this one, all you got to do is press up back into 1+3, which is your grab. You might get that a couple of times. I know I messed up doing the unblockables because they changed the input commands. But all you got to do is press up back into 1+3. It used to be that all you got to do is press up back into 1+2, but now it's 1+3. So you just press your 1 and your 3 buttons together, and you press up back to do your unblockable. Now, this has a couple of different moves that you can change into. For example, you may have seen me do this move. Now, to do this move, while you're going into the stabby stab unblockable, you just press 1. Immediately, like, mash 1 just to get into the windmill. Now, you don't want to hold the windmill for too long, because even if they do get hit, they may have enough time to recover and do a wake-up low kick or a wake-up mid-kick. So instead, when you do windmill, and if they get hit by the windmill, hold back on the D-pad or on your stick to cancel out of the windmill immediately. You still may get hit by something if they try waking up with a toe kick or something, but it all depends on the situation. Another unblockable that you have, only while you're in your default state, is your 1+2. Like if you do your stabby stab and you press 1+2, you do this like pimp back slap, or it's not really a back slap, but you know, you just slap the guy on the face, and then you do that unblockable. Now, this is a neat unblockable because if you use it while in counter hit state, it turns into a launcher. Now, I barely use this move solely on the fact that I prefer using the windmill. And it's easier to duck this move because it's a hop. Now, another thing is that even though this is already not new news, it's the fact that some players still don't know how to go into no sword stance from down 2-2. Now, to go into your no sword stance, all you gotta do is simply press back. When you press down 2-2, hold back, and you go into your no sword stance. You can do this while also doing wall standing 4, which is this, not that, this. So you press wall standing 4 when you get up, and you hold back, and you go into no sword stance. That's how you do it. Now, I already probably showcased it here in this video, and I probably already have showcased it in other videos that you can do the just frame forward too. Now, if you look at the command on the top left corner, you see it right there that I press 442, and then there's another 2 that comes out. All you have to do is simply just press 442, and as soon as you believe, or as soon as the impact is going to be made on the dummy or the enemy that you're facing against, right? You just press 2 again. Now, others mention that you can just mash it, but I don't see success with this. I don't know why it works with other people, but it doesn't work with me. Okay, there it worked. Oh, it worked again. Okay, never mind. Well, it depends on you. If you have more success by mashing the 2 or by doing it my way, which is again timing it to when you're about to hit the target, then all up to you. It's actually quite lenient. It's not as tight, the input commands to get the execution from the just frame 442. People just assume that it's difficult because they misinterpret what I said in the full guide. Because in the full guide, I state in the command inputs that I placed on the bottom corner of the screen that when you press 442 and it says just frame in the end. Again, if you already have played Tekken previously and you know what just frames are, then you will know that these are special inputs or special execution inputs, where if you press the move either quickly enough or either adding an additional input or even removing an input can give you the just frame. In the case of Yoshimitsu, all you got to do is simply just press 442 and then time it as it impacts the target into pressing 2 again to get this just frame. But I made the mistake believing that players knew what that meant, so that's on me actually. You may have also seen me use a lot while I'm in Kencho stance doing Kencho 3, and then I do into this, right, my full crouch down forward 4. Now, I have gotten some Yoshimitsu players that have told me that there's a better way, where if you go into Kencho and then you hit 3, you get the hit. Instead of doing your full crouch down forward 4, just do your up back 1+2 instead. You get more damage. And of course, if you're in your no sword stance, you get even more damage and you get health back. So do that instead of going into full crouch down forward 4 if you have been doing that already. Other particular tricks you can do with Yoshimitsu that you have not seen, or maybe you have seen me do it but haven't properly checked the move list yourself to see, is that you can do up forward 3+4 into 1+2 to go into your Manji stance. Now, I try using that in setups where if, let's say, the opponent is already knocked down, they get right back up, I go into my up 3+4, and then I press 1+2 to go into my Manji stance, and then catch him with a 3+4 command grab, which also breaks floors. You can also try going into your flee stance as well if you get the hit off of your up forward 3+4, even if on block. If you wait a little bit, if you do hit them with this, you can also go for a combo and do that. You can also go into your Manji stance by doing your helicopter, which is simply pressing up forward into 1+3, then pressing 1+2. Though I wouldn't recommend doing that. A lot of the times players, when they see Yoshimitsu doing the helicopter, they would assume that once they get down a smidge bit, they'll just press 1 to essentially punch you out of the air. Or they'll just try to run to get behind you. Now, another thing also that I probably have forgotten to showcase in the beginning of this recording is that if you also go into your forward 1+4, you go into your Harakiri if you hold it for too long. But if you want to go into down 1 from a different stance, you can do it like this and do your down 1. This is a quicker way of going into your down 1, I would say. Though I would say it's mostly in the case that if you want to set up something, like in the function that if you go into 4-4 1+4 and not holding forward because you go into Harakiri, they may start to believe that you may try to go for your, you try to delete yourself, so instead you go and press down 1 to catch them off guard. Also, another neat trick we can do is that if you're back turned and you're in flee stance, for some reason he has a hitbox that's slightly larger than his front side, and if he gets close enough to the opponent, you can actually hit them. So unlike with the front side, the only way they'll get hit is if they manage to get close enough to the blade, or by going with a low attack and then hitting the blade with that, they'll get hit by the blade. But if you're facing them or should I say facing away from them and you're in flee, for some reason you have an extended hitbox. So you'll see a lot of Yoshimitsu players doing this. They'll just like constantly mess around with the opponent. And whenever they get down, they'll just wait until they get close enough to get hit by the butt. One last thing I'll mention as well is that if you want to know a particular type of floor break that you can use besides the command throw from Manji stance, you can also try doing your moonsault slayer, which is finally I found some kind of use for this move. You can try using that instead for a floor break. You don't have to go for other moves. Like for example, you can also try to break the floor with this move instead. But seeing that you will also be placed not in your no sword stance, I would rather prefer to use your moonsault slayer if you can. So that's about all the moves that I know for sure for now for Yoshimitsu. There are other tricks you can perform with Yoshimitsu, but I think I'll leave that for another video. For something more of a mix-up guide, maybe if you want another mix-up guide, or if you want a combo guide. But I'm pretty sure there are already a lot of videos out there for you guys to see. But if you want one from me, just let me know. So if you like what you watch, give it a like, subscribe if you want to see more of my shit, and stay tuned.